are here with our snowmobile to install our outdoor cargo system. Really nice to be inside. Thank you to Nathan and Lindsay from NS Auto Body for letting us use this space. It's snowy outside and it would be a lot less comfortable to do it out there. So we have the base of our outdoor cargo system. We have our snowmobile. The other thing that we'll need to begin is our jack stand. So it's a lot of fun to open up the box and just want to throw it on there right away, but kind of assembling these pieces will really set you up for success. So what we have here is, when we look at the back of the unit, there are little set points that we are going to put onto the bumper of the snowmobile. So simply lining them up, getting it on there. It is not meant to fit super tight. I imagine that bumpers come in slightly different sizes, so this should fit your unit. Having a jack stand prepared is really nice because then you can set it down kind of right on there. Otherwise you're left kind of holding this, so make sure that you have that prepared. A nice tip right now that we did is we were able to take a leveler and just make sure that we aren't, you know, crazy off as far as our measurements. So making sure that it's a little bit level is a really nice thing to do, because when you set things on here, you don't want it to necessarily fall off. So with that being said, you know, set your base unit down, check it, and then we're gonna put in our first few screws just to kind of begin assembling. So I'll be right back. We had taken all of our pieces from our unboxing and we'd actually set them up. So I should show you that. Come on over. And we have really kind of taken stock in what is here. So you can kind of see the extra parts laying out, but kind of by bunching things, you can tell really what you're going to need next. So we're gonna take a few of our screws and bolts, and we're going to take this piece and we're going to assemble the first side of our unit. So here we go. Again, our base is down, and there is 2 screw points at each side. So if you can see right on in here, there's 2 screw points on each side. We're gonna be able to put this right underneath and drop your screws straight in. From there, we're going to put on our bolt. All right, so at this point, it is still very loose, but that is okay because we're going to do the other side, and then we're going to make sure that the unit is actually lined up in the middle of the snowmobile. We're gonna check the balance one more time, and then we're going to tighten things down at that point to kind of set this part in place. All right, so we're back here with the pieces that we need to begin attaching this cargo system to the snowmobile. So the first thing that we found helpful is to put the washers into the spots where they're going to go. So just right underneath, and just slide it in place. And with the second one for the side, slide that in as well. We're gonna take our bolt, those go right in there. I have another bolt, goes right in there. We then have our black piece. This is going to come up from the bottom. You guys might have a better view than I do with the camera. Okay, now we're loosely going to get our nuts on. Second one. You can see at this point that this is very loose. It is just barely finger tight. But what we're going to do is install the bolts onto this other side here, and then we're going to make sure that it's center and straight the way that we like it. So we'll be right back. All right, so we are here with the cargo system, and we have the screws honestly semi-tightened. The reason for that is because we have Josh, who is always, you know, our camera guy, but I found that, you know, we have our open end wrench and we have our long socket, but I am just not necessarily a maintenance man, so I'm learning this, and I'm going, I was pushing the bolt up and I needed somebody to kind of hold that down for me. So it did take both of us, maybe just because I'm kind of new with this. I imagine some people kind of could have tackled this a little bit more independently, but again, having somebody there to help you is always a great thing. So again, we are going to show you how we use these tools to begin to tighten these bolts on. We are going to, you know, mostly tighten it, but we are going to have some side supports that we're going to attach as well, and then we're going to do kind of a final tighten at the end. So I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. You can watch how that looks, and then we'll get back to you for the next steps. Pretty good. I'm gonna check this other one. Feels pretty good as well. So even just kind of a preliminary check here, you can tell there's a little bit of upward motion, but again, that is why we have our side stabilizers, which we will attach in a moment. So some really great tools that helped us get this done, and we'll show you the next step. All right, so we are on to our next step. What you notice about this cargo system is underneath is where the braces will attach. So we have some bolts that are already in here, and we take them out. We actually already did this once, because then the next step is going to be that we're going to ultimately bolt this over here as well. But to do that, we needed a hole. I do have my washer here, so you can kind of see the hole against the dark. What we did do here is we took our drill and we first used an 1/8 inch bit. We lined up where, well, let's show this. Here we go. So this goes in. So that goes in, I make it about finger tight. We'll go back and we'll tighten it later. Then we looked where our brace actually hits underneath here. It is really important to note what is underneath, because like on ours, we have our cooling system. It's very important to not hit that. So we used our 1/8 inch drill bit from the bottom to drill up. Then we were able to use our larger drill bit, our 3/8 inch over here, to match our bolt. So that we can make our hole coming from the top. So we do have that all drilled out, and we have our bolt here. We can put it in, and we have our nut that we can put on as well. One of the things that is important, actually it'll be easier to go this way, coming up. So put that on. So we have our nut about finger tight. It is also worth mentioning while we're here, because we didn't necessarily have to do this, but maybe some of you will. This support pole, and actually I'll show you with this other one. So we were test fitting this side as well, but these do open up. So it's a little bit slow at first, and I wonder how much you can see it against my sweatshirt here. Let me get this together. So you can see that you can extend this, and even by quite a bit. It does happen at both ends, so this is a piece that's going to be able to adjust to whatever length it is that you need to fit your sled. So we're gonna go back to our first side. We're going to tighten it up a little bit. We're gonna do the second side, and then we'll see you after that. All right, so we are here and our cargo system is starting to look a lot more assembled, and it's really hard to not get excited. And you can see here that we kind of fit on these auger mounts because, like I'm saying, we are excited. So I mean, at this point, if you do still have your jack here, you know, move that out of the way because we're going to be able to move around this and work on the rest of the unit. So what we do have here is the arms for the auger. You can tell all you have to do is match up the holes on the sides. I mean, this is quite simple to do. And then just simply slide the bolts in. All right, so lined them all up. We are going to get our nuts and we're just going to tighten them up. So let's grab those and we'll get that going. We have our washers, we have the nut, and we're just going to begin to assemble this all together. All right, so here we have our auger mount all snugged up. That's a really easy process. Everything is very accessible. So as long as you have your tools from the rest of the install, then that's good to go. The auger mount does say to put your auger on here with the head of the auger to the left. So we are going to be getting our auger at some point, and we're going to be showing you the install for that. All right, so we are here with the next step of the auger mount. So we do have a brace for the head of the auger. We looked at kind of how it likes to sit naturally, but then we actually decided that we liked it kind of turned up a little bit. And that's just simply because our razor has a light on it, which is a really awesome feature, helps us clean up, and we love that. But we didn't want to bump that button. So we're gonna take our brace and we're gonna put it flush up with the auger. Whoops. Kind of hold it there. And then what I did is I used a silver Sharpie to mark that point. What I also did is I didn't make it too high up, because then when I lift this auger out, I'm actually going to inch this up just that tiny little marker point. So you won't be able to see that silver, and we will have our auger steadied right on top. So we're gonna get some screws in after we take this auger off, and we'll show you that in a minute. All right, so we have our auger off of the mount, and that is really going to allow us to put our bracket on. So again, when you are lining this up, I do urge you to kind of dry fit it, because you can eyeball what hole is gonna work, but put it together and see how it goes. With that, we do also have our spud bar mount, and so we are going to include that in this setup here. So we put our silver mark to indicate exactly where we want this mount to line up, which is great. We put the mark there, and I really want it kind of there, so it's gonna hide it. We're gonna put this together, and it is gonna be loose, so snug up the nuts, and then after that, we're gonna line it up to tighten it up. So I'll show you that in a second. All right, so we are putting our last nut on there, and you can see, you're gonna wanna take a minute to see how this all lines up. So we do have the bolt, and then we do have our spud mount, and then we do have the strap for the auger through the post, through this, and with the nut. So we are going to start to snug this up, and then our last bit of this will be to align it, because what I ultimately want this to look like is I want the strap to be facing up. As you tighten the bolt, it is going to have a tendency to turn, so to be able to hold that, I also do know that I want the spud to be held up kind of as high as possible. So I'm gonna wanna push that in as much as I can as I'm tightening it. And then we're also going to want to line up the head holder, or the base for the auger. So kind of a few things to hold, but especially as you tighten it up, it'll continue to be easier and easier. So you can watch me do it here and we'll show you how this works. Want to get this too snug before you line things up, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult to move. So again, begin to get it where you want it and then finish snugging up after. Right about there. Oops. All right, so at this point, again, what we're looking for is that the spud is held up like I wanted it. Looks great. Our straps are up and our auger holder is right covering our line where we want it. So that looks like a successful install. We will go to the other side and then we'll put our auger back on top and show you how it holds on. All right, so we are here on the second side. We do have our spud mount. We do have our strap. We do have the washer and the bolt to put on to put this all together. One of the things is we pushed this all the way up as far as it could go. If on the first side you did not push your spud mount all the way up, then make sure that you do match where the two sides so that they line up. You wouldn't want to end up with a situation where your spud is rattling on here, because that would be probably a loud and annoying ride. So again, just take note of how this is lining up. And again, you do want that strap pointing up. So we're gonna get this on here, finger tight it, and then tighten it down. And as it is getting tight, make sure that it still stays lined up just like you like it. There you go. So that was easy peasy. Let's get our auger on. We can put our clips on and we can show you how this attaches. All right, so we are here. Our razor auger is on top of the mount. And as you can see, it's sitting really nice because of that base that we installed on this side under the head of the auger. What we do have next is the straps. Quite easy to do. You start all the way on the inside, pull it through a little bit, and right back down that outside one. It leaves your strap hanging really nicely and allows you to be able to cinch that right down. All right, so now for our fishing rod accessory. Really great tool, especially for if you are hole hopping around your lake, going from spot to spot, or even just bringing your rods out. So this does sit on this rail in the back. And so we were able to put this on here and push it down. There we go. But what we were able to do is to use this silver Sharpie marker, and then we were able to draw the circles exactly where they are, so we knew where to drill our spots to put our bolts. So again, when we took the rod holder off, we had our silver Sharpie circles exactly in the spot that we knew that we wanted to make our hole. So you can see here, this is a snug fit, which is nice because it's not going to rattle around, but you do have the holes that we were able to drill out in order to put these bolts in. So that'll be our next step. We're gonna get our bolts, put this together, and we'll show you that. All right, so we did drill out the holes, and then we pushed our rod holder right back on. As you're pushing it on, it is kind of a snug fit, so a good idea to line up the holes as you're pushing it on there. So we did put our bolt in, put the washers, and put our nut. So we're going to snug this all up and see what it looks like. All right. Come to this side. All right, there we go. That's perfect. Feels very secure, looks great, and ready to hit the ice.